dedicated to telling your stories. This is the Robbie Harvey.
Back in 1996, Federico Cruz, who was 16 at the time, followed a young man down the railroad tracks in Michigan. And once he caught up with him, Federico murdered him, beat him to death. After taking his life, Federico dumped the body in a swamp. And then, a few hours later, Cruz returned. This time, he cut off the young man's head. And he took it to his house. And then he set up a video camera where he filmed himself cutting out the man's brain.
Those are the charges against 16-year-old Federico Kiko Cruz, a high school dropout with a long juvenile record, arrested and charged with open murder.
But I don't know if I'd call it ritualistic or satanic at this stage of the game, but it was bizarre to say the least.
Not only did it do that, but he attempted to cut out his heart and spine also. Then he videotaped himself dancing with the body parts, then showed that video to friends. Back then, Cruz claimed that he suffered abuse as a child and that he could communicate with demons.
He had had some trouble in school. I knew that he had been involved in trouble. He'd gone to church with us a couple times. I didn't really know Kiko very well. I'd, say hi to him at football games and stuff when he was there.
Cruz was sentenced to life in prison for the death of David Crawford. But back in 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional to send a minor to life in prison. Then back in 2023, Cruz was resentenced. This time, he got 35 to 60 years.
Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker thinks Federico Cruz should spend the rest of his life in prison.
There's a punishment. They took a life. They took a life in a horrific, one of the most horrific things you can do, cutting off the head and then videotaping, dancing with it. It's not just about rehabilitation.
Now, despite his horrific crime, and because of the resentencing he got just over a year ago, Cruz is eligible for parole.
I think it's fundamentally unfair to the victim's family. This is the third time they've had to endure a sentence on him over a period of almost 30 years. And at some point, they deserve some closure on this. And the closure they got, I think, is a travesty.
And he may be out of jail this March at the age of 39.